Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Rslash Tales from Tech Support. In today's episode, but I don't want to swap toner. In defense of tech support. You can close the ticket, I only needed to open it for my metrics. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. But I don't want to swap toner. So another story from a school I used to work in. One of the projects I had rolled out was to remove half our printers and automation of toner replacements to departments. When a printer hit a 20% toner alert, it would trigger an automated system that would order more toner for that printer, and our printer provider would ship new toner. For example, if IT hit 20% black toner, suddenly a new toner would be shipped to the school ATTN IT department. The purpose of this was that it meant that IT didn't need to store and delivery toner. One flow on from this was that all staff were shown how to change toner, open flap, pull out plastic ribbon and install. Easy. This came with a policy that the executive signed off on, that IT would only train staff on toner replacements, not do actually replace them. Since IT weren't needed to order/swap toner, we wouldn't do it for you. If you submitted a ticket asking for more toner, it was automatically closed, informing the teacher to check their storeroom and swap the toner themselves, reminding them a new toner was on its way. Each department always had a spare in their office, and only once in that time did we run into an issue where a department went through a whole toner in one day. Though this one teacher believed swapping toner was above her. She learned sending in tickets doesn't help, so would call us. This is a combination of multiple calls. IT, hello, how can we help you? Self-entitled teacher, set the toner is out. Come and replace it. IT, sure, are you there right now? We can send someone over now to show you how to swap the toner. Set, no. I don't swap toner, that is an IT job. IT, as you know, IT only shows you how to do it. Staff must swap their own toner. Set, okay. Come here now. I got over to the office, and like she would sometimes do, she had taken off, leaving a note saying something like, I had an urgent student issue to attend, please swap toner. Since myself and the rest of helpdesk were well aware of her methods, we just updated the note, added, please see guide above printer. Each printer had a series of photos showing them how to change toner. I even checked there was spare toner in her staff room. I went back to IT, created a ticket and noted, teacher was not in office. Please see guide attached and install toner. If you would like IT, please let us know in a time you are around so we can teacher you. This was the afternoon, so I logged off and went home. Next morning I come into a yelling email that she had been unable to printer, it was all my fault, and as a result the world was ending. The entire executive was CC'd and made out that I was a horrible person. I calmly responded that we had attended right away, made sure instructions were they, and even attached them to a ticket. Stated when we arrived we saw a note saying she was attending an urgent student issue. And also included references to a dozen other tickets about her refusal to follow the guide. Within half an hour I got a singular reply from one of the executive member thanking me, and to close the ticket, they will deal with it themselves. I found out later that the executive were sick of her self-entitled actions, and that she was getting an official warning over this. The big reason, there had been no urgent student issue, and she had gone to get a coffee. Her lying about student issues had been a step too far. Ironically, with no further help required, she suddenly could swap toner. I just got my first job in IT with my local county government. I'm still too new to know the entire scope of our job, but a good portion of it is swapping toner for everyone from the detention center to the courts and the collections office. Luckily, if the printer needs anything beyond that, though, it's outsourced to a vendor. On the first day at my current job, I was tasked with fixing the large format printer, only to find out it was irreparably damaged when some unknown assailant forced the wrong toner in, so now I'm always happy to change it myself if someone has an issue. I don't want to be capable. I want to be helpless and have everything done for me by someone else. Tough, that's not what we're paying you for. This is the correct response, and it's refreshing to hear of someone in authority in a school system actually giving it. Wait, I want to hear about somebody using an entire toner in one day. Because other than deciding to print black construction paper for 8 straight hours and setting the machine afire, I cannot imagine this happening. Since this is a school, there may have been a bulk printing of materials. I usually get a 10 to 15 page subject outline for each subject I do, at the start of each semester. These days they are mostly online, and I print my own, but in-person classes often hand out printed copies. Imagine 10 to 15 pages per student per class, and you could easily run out of toner on some printers. There are some small desktop laser printers with cartridges rated for only 1,000 to 1,200 pages of 5% coverage printouts with 18 to 20 pages a minute speed. Depleting that cartridge is easily achievable in less than an hour, especially with higher coverage. Totally possible in a school environment. Too many people pick up beef with IT, CC execs, then learn the hard way that execs don't appreciate you startin' shit. Context of the sh*t doesn't matter. Don't start it. In a previous job, years ago, there was the incident. The incident basically destroyed the mail room where the main copier was. After the incident, CEO kindly asked if IT would take care of toner swaps on the main copier. We also banned printing labels on the main copier. Please destroy one of the old HP laser jets, not the main MFP everyone uses. Sounds like someone staged the incident to punt toner swaps over to IT. It's funny, we also have the printers that can order their own toner, and they're absurdly easy to change and mess-free. We also posted instructions, and have been encouraging employees to do it themselves. Amusingly, there's been exactly 2 responses to this. Alright, so after you do that report thing, this is how you insert a cartridge. Set, no. I don't swap toner, that is an IT job. According to the executive suite, it is. Ha! As a teacher myself, I believe that teachers should always be learning something new and challenging themselves. How can you honestly tell students to do new things, learn new info, etc., when you are doing nothing to improve yourself? The teacher in this story is embarrassing at best. Very much so. Having worked in education for 18 years, I have a huge number of idiot teacher stories. Though thankfully the idiots I have met don't outweigh the good ones. I used to work at an engineering firm in a non-IT role. Sometimes the printer would jam and tell you on the screen that there was a paper jam in area X. Most of my esteemed engineer colleagues would interpret that as this printer is now a large rock and there is nothing that can be done about it. The amount of times that people would stare at me like I was a mad wizard for following the clearly labeled steps to unjam the paper was just insane. It was just like open flap A, rotate knob B, pull lever C, remove paper, close flap A. The simple instructions almost always worked, but everyone refused to even try. In defense of tech support. My wife and I were visiting family when my manager sent a frantic email asking for support with an internal application I'd been involved with. I tried to contact the useless lead engineer several times, but he didn't respond. I was worried about being laid off, so I did the work from my mobile, despite being in a different country. Navigating a well-known cloud provider's portals via iOS? Not fun. Giving answers to an indifferent product manager because the lead engineer is AWOL? Less so. For the rest of the trip, I had a nagging sense this was going to backfire on me. And it did. Despite resolving the situation, the lead engineer and his manager blamed me. Said I was reluctant to cede my project to their team and claimed I wouldn't delegate responsibility. Wrong. I was actually glad to be rid of it. Here's an excerpt of our discussion. Me, I called the lead engineer 4 times, but he didn't pick up. Lead engineer's manager, he didn't recognize the number. I would never pick up the phone if I didn't recognize the number. Me, I have a US phone number, called 4 times, and there was an ongoing platform issue. Given this context, it would seem prudent to answer your mobile. Lead engineer's manager, I don't see it that way. You're still wrong. Me, sad face. This is how the company worked. Engineering managers could come up with ridiculous excuses and were always believed. Her boss, the CTO, calls me in to play the blame game. I had spent hours preparing my defense, instead of working, as I wasn't going to be their scapegoat. I suppose I should have asked why I had to defend myself at all. CTO grills me alone. I calmly explain what happened, provide a chronological outline, and include links to all of the documentation I'd created. CTO concedes that I was not at fault, then sends a **T email to me, my manager's manager, and the lead engineer's manager promising to look into the lead engineer's lack of action. Yet nothing was ever done. It was a kangaroo court. No apologies, no follow-ups from anyone. They never even thanked me for helping out during my time off. I began looking for another job and put up with my manager for a couple more months. Updated my resume while at work. Called in sick several times to interview in person. Did one interview while still at work. Just walked out and met with the hiring manager during my lunch break. I can't begin to describe how satisfying it was to leave this toxic place. They seemed surprised when I put in my 2-week notice. I worked, snoozed, from home the entire time. During my exit interview, HR asked where I was going and how much I would be paid. I politely declined to answer. During my exit interview, HR asked where I was going and how much I would be paid. Someplace better and more. Someplace better and more less. Honestly, it would probably be worth a slight drop in pay to not have to work in such a toxic environment, and if the answer would also, hopefully, drive into the HR drone's mind just how bad the situation is, that I would be willing to take a pay cut just to get out. Where are you going? Somewhere not here. How much will you be paid? More than you can afford, or if they want a specific dollar amount, $1 million. And sharks with Friken lasers on their head. Holds pinky to corner of mouth. Too bad the first place could only get ill-tempered C-base. Just curious, did you leave a message? Not blaming you for the situation or anything. I just know I get all kinds of spam calls, so I only really pay attention to phone calls that are known contacts or leave a voicemail. This is a great example of why if you're on scheduled vacation you don't work, no one appreciates it. I did after each call. Lead engineer claimed that it was garbled and he could not understand me. I'm not answering that, but you should know it really wasn't all about the money. I went out of my way to solve a problem on vacation from another continent, and instead of a thank you, I got investigated and blamed. That said, this move is a win for me on all fronts. HR asked where I was going and how much I would be paid. Asking how much you'll be paid. That's a ballsy question that is none of their business. I like to reply to that one loud enough for other employees to hear. Well done, glad you got out. Good luck with your new gig. Agreed. There are toxic workplaces in this world and anyone can end up in one, through no fault of their own. The only solution is leave. Can someone explain to me why anyone would even bother to do an exit interview? I worked at a really *TTY place, and they asked me a whole bunch of questions about things like that after I quit, and I said hold on, I have another call, let me get rid of it, and I hung up on them. They're idiots. In my mind it's like having a conversation with a girlfriend that you just broke up with. We're done. That's it. And if for some reason I didn't hang up at that point, I would just give her my best George Vostanzas, and say it's not you, it's me. Exit int. I did my exit interview when I just left that ISP call center crap. Told then how the management was doing great, but the call volume and the amount of abuse we have to take hourly is truly not worth the $13 an hour. Bad enough they liked to keep everyone busy with no downtime, and would offer voluntary time off, no pay, to people in the late mornings. I was making just barely enough for rent, but I took that as much as I could, made the day go faster. But it was the worst paid therapist job, all for helping people who had TV issues, cause a channel wouldn't come in, or services went down cause of a power outage that we don't control, and I want the money I lost given back to my account. Sure thing, TV was down for 3 hours? That's $1.50. It honestly sounds like your company's processes aren't very good. As someone in a similar position to your lead engineer, we would expect a ticket assigned to us with an appropriate priority rather than contact by cell phone, and all 3 of the engineers on the team get text alerts for tickets with high priorities. None of us will answer calls to our cells from numbers we don't know. We would also get crucified by management if we got a legitimate high priority ticket and didn't deal with it promptly. You can close the ticket, I only needed to open it for my metrics. A few years ago, I was working at a company that was trying to adopt the lean methodology of working. Unfortunately, due to company culture, it led to a lot of finger pointing and teams trying to justify inefficiency by blaming others. We had been wondering for a while why a particular team tended to have a lot more calls and tickets to the IT service desk. The calls were often for issues that would fix themselves. For example, we got a ticket that said the printer was performing a cleaning cycle. Another ticket said Windows updates performed at inappropriate time. The list went on of many trivial, unspecific requests of IT from this department. Within the IT team, it was somebody's job to spot trends, and then a follow-up ticket would be opened up to help determine root cause of issues and improve efficiency. In this case, we could clearly see a trend that there were a lot of tickets, but there was no discernible pattern. On an off chance that maybe a wireless access point was failing in that area, our team followed up with some of the tickets that complained of general slowness, the network being down, or the page won't load. The usual answer was that it just works now and thank you for your time, but you can close the ticket. One person, however, was very honest and said, you can close the ticket, I only needed to open it for my metrics. I replied, wouldn't it be better to fix the problem so you wouldn't have lost a productivity? The person replied, the computer really wasn't that slow, that you need to do anything. So I ended the call and the next day had lunch with some of my friends in that department to get the real scoop. Apparently, since the push towards lean methodology and efficient had come into being, there was a bonus being offered if you could meet certain unrealistic productivity goals. If you had greater than 2 IT service tickets in a month, your productivity expectation was lowered by a percentage for that month. Apparently, this bonus, although based on productivity, provided loopholes to blame others within the company on a team's lack of productivity. A lot of people figure it out that it was very easy to create and then close IT tickets. I left the company years ago, but I am curious if this practice still continues. Nothing like incentivizing people to spam the ticket queue. That's a great way for actual high priority requests to get lost in the noise. Plus side, OP's tickets closed this month metric is skyrocketing. Management accidentally made the metric into a target, and thereby invoked Goodhart's law. When a measure becomes a target, it ceases to be a good measure. Of course, I have my doubts. Tell your production line to produce 1,000 nails in a month, they might produce 1,000 tiny nails. Tell your production line to produce 5 pounds nails in a month, they might produce 3 5-pound nails. Tell your production line to produce 1,005 pounds nails in a month, and, what? 1,005 pounds nails of low quality. My dad, who was an old-fashioned engineer, told me a story about food canning plant. Management called in experts from the company that made the mechanical devices that moved the cans, empty and full, around the plant. They were getting a large number of dented cans and could not figure out what was causing it. The engineers looked over the machines and could not see anything wrong, and could not spot anywhere the dents were being made. Finally, one of them got an idea and asked, "What do you do with the dented cans?" Answer was, "We can't sell them to markets since they'll reject them, so we give them to our employees." Engineer, stop doing that. Denting problem magically went away. We got a similar issues here with metrics. They are so focused on metrics that it basically makes us slower and less productive by us having to categorize every ticket we open. And the thing is, we won't know the ticket and where it falls, since the users that call us half the time do not know what the actual issue is. Therefore, at the end of the call, you would have to theoretically go back and change the ticket to actually reflect the real issue. But nobody has time for that, so we just leave it as is. Our job is to support the employees, not worry about reports and metrics. So I guess. Also, if I did a ticket for every single thing I do, I would spend most of my day creating tickets. Accountability and efficiency are concepts at opposite ends of a line. Management needs to determine where on the line they want to place the process/department/company. There are still quite a few companies I have seen where this sort of thing goes on. Unfortunately, quite a few of those companies also have competing or conflicting targets for the IT or service desk teams. For instance, penalties if recurring tickets come in different tickets raised at different times, but referencing issues that had previously been marked as resolved, because the original ticket was a bogus attempt to game the system. User education did precisely nothing, because they knew what they were doing, and this was helping them inflate their bonuses, even though it was at the cost of employees elsewhere. So, after a discussion with the management idiots who came up with the idiotic targets in the first place, a few changes were made to the Zendesk ticketing system, and any tickets tagged as being bogus to try and get around the system were excluded from the reporting metrics. Sales team went ballistic because they now actually had to deal with their management's unrealistic targets instead of passing the problem on. So Manglement has no idea what they are doing and found a way to still not know what they were doing. ISO/Lean doesn't work that way. Bonuses for finding and fixing bugs in your own code. Why not write the bugs in on purpose and fix them after lunch? So, I'm a lean specialist. That's not in any way, shape, or form even close to an application of lean methodology. And we wonder why people hate us. I share your pain. We were afflicted by a derivative Lean/Sigma team. Part of their mutant take totally flouted our product quality rules, set nationally. If word had got out, we'd be shut down for non-compliance. Our QA/QC folk raised a furor, managed to get the offending material struck from their presentation and handouts. The L/S team restored the offending stuff for the next presentation. Our quality manager went ballistic, personally directed the offending materials removal to secure burn bags. Don't forget your TPS cover sheet. You forgot the cover sheet last week, Peter. I've noticed users will do this even without an actual metric hanging over their head. I used to work at a school district, and the superintendent's secretary would panic at any mistake she made and put in a ticket trying to frame it as IT's fault. Even if it wasn't a mistake, anyone would notice, so long as she didn't make a fuss. Tangentially related, our dial-out code was 9, and then 1 preceding the phone number. Naturally, we would have people occasionally put in an accidental 1 sometimes. Not the hugest deal, but the system does alert the school's admin team that there's an emergency and the location of it. Never failed, we would get a ticket of the keys on my phone or sticky please replace. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.